Are you an Apple product lover? Is Steve Jobs one of your heroes or someone you admire? Well, the director of Slumdog Millionaire and the writer of The Social Network bring you Steve Jobs, a film about the legend himself. Critics are calling it must-see, one-of-a-kind cinema that cannot be ignored. In select theaters October 9th, everywhere October 16th. Don't miss this film. Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. This last night was late. This morning was early.
Yeah. It's going to be It's going to be for me an intense couple of days because last night we're not going to talk about this until next week.
Yeah,
Till next week. But we went and saw a preview screening of The Martian last night.
Yay.
Oh boy,
which was fabulous.
we have lots to say next week.
But so next week's gonna be a spoiler cast.
Next week will be a spoiler cast. So we were all up late last night.
You guys should go see it.
Yes,
It comes out this Friday.
Go see it. That's the most important thing to say.
It is.
Let's move that needle.
Yes, yes. Yesterday was late. I brought the Thing 1 and Thing 2. We saw the lovely Gina, as well as everybody else, and it was a lovely evening out. But in 3 hours, I get on a plane and fly to Atlanta
That's a
for
long
a
way
corporate
away.
appearance, and I'll be back home by 7 p.m. tomorrow night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those back and forth days are kind of terrible in my experience. But also, if you just stay on Pacific time, and it kind of doesn't matter. It's just a lot of time in the airplane.
I don't usually for short travel, which is like less than 3 days. I never change my watch.
Yeah.
Because most of what I'm dealing with is back here. And even if I'm trying to make phone calls with other people, it is West Coast time that I'm thinking in.
So when my daughter was new and we would go to the East Coast, we would just stay on West Coast time the entire 2 weeks we were there.
Oh, wow. Which
makes you feel like absolute scumbags because you wake up every morning at like 10 o'clock and then go to bed at midnight or 1 but you're in weird situations because you have like a 6-month-old baby in a restaurant at 10 o'clock at night. Totally fine.
Right. Yeah, generally pretty fine.
But, frowned upon.
Oh, where are you staying in Atlanta?
I don't know.
Are you staying downtown in one of the big DragonCon hotels?
I plausibly am.
Oh, that's the weirdest thing to be in that hotel when DragonCon's not happening. I don't. Maybe it's weird in San Diego.
Because that's, yeah.
It was okay. We didn't talk about DragonCon a lot, but I do want to say a few things. I realize now.
Yeah.
One, how weird it was. I stayed one extra day. Like went till Labor Day. DragonCon is Labor Day every weekend, Friday to Monday. Everyone's gone Monday, and because DragonCon is such a nonstop 72-hour party, densely packed. All until 4 a.m. in the morning, crazy, and you just affiliate those spaces with the atmosphere.
Yeah.
To then walk through those same hotels, very much like just 8 hours right after you're partying there, and being completely empty, is very wistful.
Was it back to normal? Like, was it normal hotel
Immediately.
operations?
Yes.
Did it smell weird or anything?
There were stains on the ground.
Okay.
The Marriott Hotel,
Beverages,
which is
I
the
hope.
famous Atlanta Marriott marquee, which has the pattern that people have now made costumes of.
Even
that
though
pattern.
the carpet company has sent
The carpet company has sent
ridiculous
C&Ds, the pattern company that licensed out the carpet, whatever.
That makes
and
me
then
so mad.
The Marriott changed the carpet on the first floor, so it doesn't even match up now. But people still wear their costumes to commemorate it. And then they changed the carpet weeks before DragonCon. Why? Because the day after or the Monday
corporate
after,
machinations.
you just
don't
walk
stop.
through this new carpet, which is ugly. Is now fugly. Now needs some work.
Oh, yeah. I understand.
Oh yes, yeah.
DragonCon. I will say there is a. It's costume. It's hardcore cosplay.
That's right.
I mean,
The most creative and
Boom
elaborate.
Chicka Wow Wow?
No,
Hardcore?
no, not Boom Chicka Wow Wow.
The most intense. You don't understand how many hours not only go into the preparation of the costume, but the getting ready. Day of.
And let me put it this way. I've said this before that for me, the wearing of the costume is the completion.
Yes.
It's an intrinsic part of the piece. The piece doesn't come into its own. And Comic-Con is where I first learned that, and also that the cosplay is a form of theater. that is a real form of incredible theater that is only happening at the cons, in which the line between performer and audience is completely blurred. The Venn is almost a circle.
And when you have the chronology of the temporal aspect of a party that lasts for so many hours, you have cosplayers. One of the best things I saw, a friend of ours, Steve, who runs Solo Roboto, he's a cosplayer. He did Die Hard, and he did 6 different Die Hards in one evening to transition from
the
beginning of the party.
Fresh off the plane, John McClane?
No way!
Yes.
That's so good.
The shirt, to the bloodier shirt, to the gun on his back.
Taped to his back with Christmas wrapping?
Yes, to finding another person who had who he could put the Santa hat on and put the ho ho ho, now I have a machine gun.
Oh my God.
Throughout the evening.
That's so good.
So if you
walking around going yippee-ki-yay, mofo?
And you could run, and if you didn't know, you could just run into, wait a minute. And you'd get it.
But the evolution of that costume is so in the timing. That's so smart. That's the thing I love the most, and it's the it's the theatrical aspect.
At DragonCon, I was at a party thrown by friend of Tested, Aaron Douglas, who played Chief on Battlestar Galactica. He throws, if he's at DragonCon, he often throws an epic party. And I was at his party a few years ago, and this girl walked up to me and said, "I'm a big fan. I'd love to take a picture with you." And I said, "Yes." No, let me explain that this girl was almost entirely topless. She had, I can't remember, some thing taped over, like pasties of some kind. And I said, "Yes, I'll take a picture." And at that moment, my assistant comes out of the crowd and goes, "No!" And I said, "You're right, I'm really sorry."
So you're saying that picture does not exist?
The photo does not exist, and my assistant took very, very good care of me at that party.
It's good to have somebody there making for the smart brain. Yeah, the good angel and the bad devil, exactly. Right?
This is only tangentially related, but something I did realize. I mentioned this yesterday. I had the friends I were hanging out with. We had an encounter with the cast of the Battlestar Galactica cast.
No way!
I don't want to go into too many details. It was related to that party that you mentioned, like the Aaron Douglas party.
Yeah.
But it did make me realize that these people who were cast members for a TV show 10 years later are still very close.
They're bonded.
And bonded. And it was something that made me think about the difference of how I feel about the Star Trek movie. You have Star Trek's 50th anniversary coming up, and they've been filming the new movie. And if you think about all the Star Trek shows, something that Patrick Stewart and LeVar Burton in the Next Generation era, and even the original cast talk about when you're filming for 5 years or 7 years on this show that is a cultural touchstone and has an intense fan base, there's a bond you get that you actually don't get when you just have the movie reboots. And I'm sure the cast of Star Trek and Into Darkness and the new one and beyond are close, but it's not the same.
Yeah, a few years ago at DragonCon again, we went up to the top floor. Is it the Marriott? The top floor is Yuri's bar?
I believe the one, the Hilton, the other one. Yes.
My assistant and I stumbled into that bar thinking, well, we're trying to figure out a place to. I know a lot of people at DragonCon from a lot of different worlds. So there's the Rift Tracks, and there's Paul and Storm, and then there's Aaron Douglas, and then there's Rebecca Watson, and all these different friends there. And I was like, I want to get them all in one place. So my assistant and I went upstairs to Yuri's bar, and there was like 2 people in there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, are you open? And they were like, yeah. We're like, do you mind if we bring a lot of people here? And they were like, sure. And within 25 minutes, we had 60 people there.
Wow.
It was fabulous. And I had an encounter with Next Generation Star Trek cast. Brent Spiner, LeVar Burton, Jonathan Frakes, and Martina Sirtis all arrived.
Yeah.
And Marina?
Yes,
Marina. She was absolutely hilarious. Lovely, was introduced to me by Jonathan Frakes, and he says, "Do you recognize her?" And she says, "No." And she's got this beautiful British accent, which you don't hear on the show.
Right.
And he said, "This is Adam Savage from Mythbusters." And she was like, "This can't be Adam Savage because this gentleman in front of me is very handsome." And I saw that exact bond between all those guys. Frakes is just, I mean, they are a family, and you only need to spend a few minutes around Aaron Douglas for him to talk about all of the cast members of BSG, what they went through. I mean, and Aaron has wonderful stories about really the cast helping Ron Moore to write their parts and story trajectories, and incredible, like, if you have a favorite scene of real intense acting and you bring it up to them, they'll have a story about it. Any of the cast members will. I mean, they have a bond and a real pride of that show. I mean, it's wonderful.
I have to imagine, I mean, I've worked in some intense work environments before. Nothing, I think, probably like a TV production that goes on for 5 years. But, you know, when you work with the same group of people for a long period of time, you know, even if you don't socialize outside of work, you develop this intense relationship that you carry with you for a long time.
On Mythbusters, we've been going for 13 years. Some of our crew and cast members have been with us for 11. I think the longest running has been with us for 11 and a half of those 13 years. But, you know, even the shortest is 6 or 7 years. So, yeah, we've seen each other. There's this thing that happens when you see each other at both your best and your worst. It becomes a family type situation with all of the, you know, great things and pitfalls of family situations. You can get cranky with each other in really unique ways that don't happen in normal workplaces.
I mean, yeah, that the cranky is a thing. You gotta be careful of the cranky. So I went this weekend and took my daughter, because it was 90 degrees in San Francisco and we needed to get out of the house.
It was 100 in the Mission on Sunday.
It was. Oof. This was the hottest I've ever been in San Francisco.
No, this was.
It's important to note no one has air conditioning either.
Nobody has air conditioning. I've been thinking about it. $10 million
houses don't have air conditioning.
I've been thinking about it, and I don't have a $10 million house, but I've been toying around with the idea of putting AC in.
You know what my mistake was? We did a whole furnace system last year when the baby was born, because we needed heat.
Should have done it,
and I should have done a whole house fan, because the thing about, I live right by the water.
Yeah.
So by 6 o'clock, when the sun starts to go down, it's usually 15 degrees cooler.
Right.
And if you could cycle the air in the house real quick, boom, your problem would be solved.
So we were thinking of, you know, we've got a standard flat top Edwardian style house, and there's 2 feet of space above the ceiling on the top floor. That's like plenty to actually AC just the top floor.
Right. Yeah,
which
just where you sleep,
totally
right?
Reasonable. Yeah,
they're
and kids are fine. They're underground.
The ground floor is actually very cool and very reasonable. It's the middle floor and the top floor that get balls hot on the hot days.
Yeah. So I took her to see Inside Out again.
Oh,
which
fantastic!
Going to see. It's the first time I've taken her to a movie in the theater. Well, we took her to Inside Out a couple of weeks ago, but like, going to the theater is a new experience. And it was the Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock show, so the theater was packed with, like, there were a lot of kind of grumpy looking dads and small children. It's fascinating to watch a movie like that in the presence of a 2.5, 3-year-old kid.
Explain.
Well, so the movie's about feelings. Mm-hmm. And
you know the joke, right?
What if feelings had feelings?
What if feelings had feelings? Yeah.
Yo, dog, I heard you like feelings. So, yeah, you get into the movie, and, you know, small children that age get full zombie mode when you put them in front of a TV of any kind. But, you know, she watched all the trailers, and she was scared during the Transylvania trailer. She was excited during this. She loves the short before the movie, which I think is it's really high on my list of favorite Pixar shorts, the lava one. It's like right up there with Presto and For the Birds from where I sit. But, the things that she reacted to and the things that the other kids in the audience reacted to and the things that the adults reacted to, completely different. And it made me really appreciate how masterfully Pixar is simultaneously manipulating the emotions of adults and children in very, very different ways.
Do you have a specific example of that? I mean, I loved Inside Out. I found it incredibly moving.
There's just in the writing, a little in jokes. There's a scene. I mean, this is not spoiler at all because this movie's been out for a long time. A scene where they're running down. There's a big chase scene, and they go through like the French fry area. She does a pole vault with Joy does a pole vault with the French fry, does a barrel roll afterward, and then licks her hands. And like you don't expect kids to get that, but that's like a little thing that when you touch a French fry, you lick your hands after. You want to get the salt.
Yeah.
The boyfriend, imagination boyfriend thing. That I don't
Right.
respect.
Candidate.
Right.
That was awesome.
Yeah, great for adults. Not necessarily for the kids.
The big ones to me were actually, there were a lot of sad moments in that movie for adults because you're sitting there with a kid and you have a moment where she forgets the memory. One of the memories that she's losing is of being a small child and coloring with her tongue out.
Yeah.
And you look over, I'm going to start crying. You look over and like, oh man, she's already stopped doing that. That one's gone.
Right. And it does turn out that kids lose their like around the age of 12 and 13 is when their memory bracket starts moving north.
That's right.
And they start forgetting things about being really young.
Well,
Bing bong.
It was an interesting pain to like the power of nostalgia, the whole movie, because there's this arc that happens with happy memories turning to sad memories as your life moves on, your life changes. And I was really pleased because it really stood up to repeat viewings well. But I wanted to talk about kids movies.
Okay.
Because it's not something we've really talked about a bunch. And there's a massive swing on kids movies from like
the absolutely mundane and unwatchable.
Oh, the worst. Literally the worst. But the nice thing is now, like, we've done a pretty good job introducing her to movies at a kind of young age, I guess, that are interesting and compelling and that can handle the repeated viewings that a 2-year-old wants because she just wants to watch the same thing over and over again until she's sick of it, and then she never watches it again.
This was my boys. I think they watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory every day for 6 months.
Yeah.
And there were many
Couldn't
movies
stop
like
eating
that.
those Quaker Oats afterward. Sponsored by.
Well, so we started with stuff like Totoro. You had mentioned Ghibli films, and Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, the kind of more.
There are in the Miyazaki there are some really sweet ones that don't get at all scary.
Right.
And Totoro and Kiki are both like that.
The Cat Returns is really good, although it's a little creepy at
One
times.
I've never seen.
Oh, really? I'll loan you the Blu-ray.
At that age, are the kids getting plot, or is it more just empathy and mimicking the characters on screen and feeling what the characters are supposed to feel?
So Totoro was the first thing we let her watch, and she watched Totoro a lot.
Totoro's so beautiful.
Oh, and it's lovely. And it's funny because the first time I watched, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast maybe before, but the first time I watched Totoro, I was kind of unsettled the entire time. And I had to really think about it to figure out why. And it's because in Western mythology, if you go into the forest and you meet some sort of forest sprite, somebody's about to get eaten.
Right.
And I was like, man, they can't let her eat they don't eat the kids. So she didn't get plot at first. Now she gets plot. Like she understands that Joy is trying to get back to headquarters and Inside Out.
Right.
She understands that Woody first wants to hurt Buzz and then wants to save Buzz. And gain redemption. I mean, she doesn't understand redemption probably, but she knows that she wants to get back to Andy's house for sure. And that stuff is good. She has surprising insight into what the motivations of the characters are. And then she'll bust out with stuff out of nowhere that you would never think that she'd remember. Like, remember the time Buzz's arm fell off? And you just have to work through that stuff. But she like gets sad and gets the emotional reactions that you would expect at the right time.
Have you started to introduce any difficult ones? Like, I mean, Castle in the Sky is sort of the entry level to me for the plot gets a little more complicated and things get a little more difficult.
I haven't tried that. She doesn't. So she's watched like Nemo, which has kind of two plots going simultaneously, and she gets that. She gets that Nemo's in one place and that Marlin and Dory are going to find him. And like, she reacts pretty well to what I would consider kind of scary stuff, like the shark bits, a little bit scary. The part where Nemo gets stuck in the tube is pretty scary.
Yeah.
And then we watch Muppets too. Muppets are the other thing that
the
are
original
big.
Muppet films.
So mostly the first two because I'm not a huge fan of Muppets Take Manhattan.
Have you watched Babe?
No. Oh, that's a good one.
My kids don't remember ever having watched Babe because that was something they watched when they were 2 and 3. And I've been wanting to watch it again because it's such a masterpiece.
Do you think that the DVD says, from the creator of Mad Max Fury Road?
Produced by, yeah.
It is George Miller, the director of Mad Max and the Road Warrior films, also directed Babe and Babe Pig in the City. He has perhaps the widest possible range of any director you can imagine, from
Happy
post-apocalyptic, from Happy Feet to post-apocalyptic dystopias.
It's kind of all the same story, though. It's all about love, man.
It's all about love, man.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm always looking for more suggestions on kids' movie. Castle in the Sky is good. Hal's Moving Castle, I remember being a little scary, right?
That is a little surreal. I mean, they're all
It's a little surreal. Princess Mononoke gets genuinely scary because there's real evil. Actually, the bad people in that are really bad, and it's very sad. The ending the Act 3 changeover is really intense in
Spirited
Princess
Away
Mononoke.
also can be
and Spirited Away is one of the earliest movies I got my boys weaned on because I personally wanted them to experience that scary. And there is an age threshold that's actually quite interesting. Like, since I started them really early on Spirited Away, probably by 2.5 or 3, at that point, Spirited Away came out when they were 3. Right. So right around then, 3.5, 4 was when they started watching Spirited Away. Totally able to take that scary stuff and not really internalize it. But I've seen it freak out 7 and 8-year-olds.
Well, so that's the thing is I've noticed that has even changed because, when she was a little bit younger, we would put Nemo on when she was on the plane, and we thought she was just watching the pretty fish swim.
Right.
She was actually like, no, sharks aren't scary, Dad. They're just fish are friends. And now going forward, we have to be a little more careful with the scary stuff because she kind of freaks out sometimes.
Yeah, it can happen. Max Landis has a very funny story, John Landis' son, about obviously Max grew up inculcated with movies because there are few people in the world that know the history of movies better than John. And Max tells a story about having a birthday party. I can't even remember what age it was, like 11 or something like that, and deciding to watch some impossibly scary movie that left every other attendee of the sleepover completely petrified. And Max was like, "What's wrong with everybody?
It's just a movie. It's not real." I grew up watching tons of Disney movies. Like that was our, I think Fox and the Hound in the theater and from that point on.
The Rescuers, The Borrowers.
I've never seen The Borrowers. I've seen The Rescuers and The Rescuers Down Under.
The Rescuers,
Sword in the Stone. That was kind of a dark time for Disney. Those movies aren't awesome. Robin Hood is pretty good.
I would like to, I've never seen Sword in the Stone, and I just read Once and Future King by T.H. White, which Sword in the Stone is based upon. And I'm really curious to see it, having just read the book.
And they're redoing it.
Are they really?
Yes, I believe.
Is it a live action redo?
Or what? Charlie from Pacific Rim.
Charlie Day. Charlie Hunnam.
Hunnam. He is, I believe, King Arthur.
Oh, that's a great choice. Charlie Day. I love Charlie, but not so much.
I mean, he could be a certain type of King Arthur.
You able to sort out?
Green Man.
Charlie, sorry. Also, I know I'm now tangenting.
That's fine. That's what we do here.
Is that a verb?
Yes, then we made it.
I'm tangenting. They're remaking Point Break.
They've already remade it.
They remade.
Have I already complained about this on the podcast? I probably have complained about this.
No, we've talked about it, but in person, but not complained in person.
What? It makes me so. Point Break, which is an early Catherine Bigelow film. Is it her second movie? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That explains so much.
Oh, yeah. No, Point Break is a masterpiece. This is Keanu Reeves, Lori Petty, Patrick Swayze.
Swayze at his peak.
Swayze at his absolute magnetic peak. It is a terrific cops and robbers film in which the line gets blurred. Keanu is wonderful in it.
Gary Busey.
Gary Busey?
Yeah, he's the bad guy, isn't he?
No, he's the partner.
Oh.
Is Gary Busey?
Is he the guy that gets shot in the beginning?
No, he's Keanu Reeves.
You're thinking of a different movie, dude.
No, it's Jeff. Sorry, you're thinking of Speed.
It's Jeff Daniels.
No. Continue, and I will.
You're right. Gary Busey is his partner in Speed, isn't he?
No, it's Jeff Daniels is his partner in Speed.
Who gets shot in
were
Speed?
Jeff Daniels.
That's Speed that he shoots through him to get the bad guy. Because
I can't
Keanu
believe
makes
he
the
did
tough
that.
decisions.
Yeah. Anyway, Point Break. So whenever I think of Point Break, I think of this wonderful satirical magazine from the 80s called Spy Magazine. Super, super important magazine. What?
It's Gary.
Gary Busey is in Speed?
in Point Break.
In Point
He's
Break?
the partner.
He's the FBI partner.
He asked for the sandwiches.
Wow.
2 of them.
Wow.
This is before he
don't
was
remember
crazy,
this.
right?
Wow. At any rate,
Yeah.
Spy Magazine used to have movie reviews by Walter Monheit. And Walter Monheit was a fictional movie reviewer whose only goal was to get his movie reviews to be blurbs on the poster. Thus, he wrote pithy, punny movie reviews that were only one line. And his review for Point Break was, "Get ready for the lazy, hazy, Swayze days of summer. Keanu, feel the heat.
Wow. Wow.
I smell Oscar oof." Oh yeah.
I love Point Break. I have deep affection for Point Break. It's one of those things that if it's on TV, I will watch it every time, and it has aged delightfully.
If you like
really
Point Break,
has.
there's also the stage production, Point Break Live,
Which I haven't seen.
I've seen it twice.
Really?
It's fantastic. Small. They do it at the DNA Lounge in San Francisco. They do
God,
LA
totally
shows and
really,
San
yeah,
Francisco
yeah.
shows.
I would
You
go
let
to
me
that.
know next time it
I
comes
will.
around.
Absolutely.
I'm totally
There's
going.
audience interaction. They take someone from the audience to play Keanu.
That's right. I heard about this.
Because
I think we've talked about this.
Oh my God, this is the role I was born to play.
It's very simple and
Whoa.
it's really well done.
Fabulous.
They remade Roadhouse too.
What is it? Patrick Swayze is an American treasure, and you need to stop shitting on his legacy, Hollywood.
I think this is as good a place as any to wrap it up today. Tickets for the live show are still available. You can go to testedtheshow.eventbrite.com to find out more details.
It's going to be awesome.
We have, I explained to you one of the things that we tested on Nerd Night last week, and you seemed amused.
Very. I'm super excited. Not just amused, excited to participate.
I heard you're going to bring a duck bomb.
Yeah, I might.
Okay.
The ducks might arrive.
And
I'll get them in a row, to be sure. Thanks, everybody.
yeah, we'll be back next week with another show. As always, if you like us on iTunes. That's the best way that you can let more people know about Still Untitled. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks again to Universal Pictures and its upcoming film, Steve Jobs, for sponsoring today's episode. The director of Slumdog Millionaire and the writer of The Social Network bring you Steve Jobs. Critics are calling it must-see, one-of-a-kind cinema that cannot be ignored. In select theaters October 9, everywhere October 16th.